So today we are starting with the industry analysis. That is the second step of fundamental analysis. In fundamental analysis, there are three steps: economic, industry, and company (EIC) analysis. So in last class we discussed about economic analysis, where the different parameters on the basis of which we pick an economy where we want to invest. Now the second step is industry analysis. So once you pick an economy which sounds suitable to you as per your requirement, or whatever whatever kind of company you want to choose, the what you pick an economy. Now the second step is choosing an industry. Now first of all, what is an industry? So industry is basically a set of companies which deal in same type of companies, right? For example, automobile industry, maybe IT industry, or any other type of industry we are talking here, right? So now, which industry we should choose? Maybe you can choose an industry in which particularly you have any expertise in. You can pick that industry also. And second thing is, if you do not have very sound knowledge about any particular industry, then what you can do? In that case, you can pick an industry which is suitable to you as per the industry life cycle. Right? Maybe you do not have knowledge about any particular industry, then we check the life cycle of the industry. That where is the industry lying right now? So the second phase of fundamental analysis consists of a detailed analysis of a specific industry, its characteristics. So what do we study in industry analysis? The characteristics of the industry. Second, the past records of the company, industry. Then present state and future prospects. So that where is the industry going right now? The purpose of industry analysis is to identify those industries with a potential future growth. So obviously you would always like to invest in a company or industry or economy wherever which has some potential future growth, right? You would always like to invest in an industry which is having good potential for future growth, and to invest in equity shares of companies selected from such industries, right? So first, companies we will select later on, that in which company we can invest. First step is to choose an industry. So first step was to choose economy. Second step is to choose industry. Then we will talk about company later on. So today we will discuss that which industry you would like to choose, right? So every industry and company with a particular industry undergoes a life cycle. So just like product life cycle, industry also has a life cycle, right? Like it will grow. First it will be at pioneering stage, then it can be at growth stage, then stagnation, and then decline. So there are four stages of industry. Like first is pioneering stage, second is expansion stage, third is stagnation, and the fourth one is declining stage. So now we have to identify that the industry in which you are thinking to invest lies in which stage. What is the stage of the industry right now, right? From a fundamental perspective, one can benefit by investing in an industry only in its pioneering and expansion stage. So ideally, in which stage we should invest? When the industry is in pioneering or expansion stage. There are two stages where you can buy the shares of where you can buy the shares. Those two stages are just pioneering stage or expansion stage. One should get out of the industry which have reached a stagnation stage. So whenever the industry reach the third stage, that is stagnation stage, one should always sell the product, sell the share. So here we have the industry life cycle graph, if you can see. So here we have the first stage. The first stage is pioneering stage. So on x-axis we have years, and on y-axis we have sales. So as you can see, initially when in starting years, the sales are very low here. These are starting years. If you can see here, these are starting years and this is sales. So in initial years, the sales of the company is very, very low, right? But gradually as the company is growing, right? So here the company's sales are increasing drastically, if you can see here, right? So in expansion stage, the company is growing at a very good rate. So this is the stage where you should invest. So you can either invest in pioneering stage, or you can also invest in expansion stage. It's up to you. Now you will say that in at what stage we can, really invest in the company, either pioneering or expansion. So that we'll discuss that on what basis you pick whether you should invest in pioneering or expansion. Then after, reaching a particular point, the company's growth will decline because there would come new technologies in the market. Then as the years pass by, the sales of the company will go down. As you can see here, the sales is going down. So here one should disinvest, one should sell the shares. If you're holding the shares of any industry or company and the industry has reached the stagnation stage, after stagnation stage one should always sell the shares. And obviously in decline there is no profit. So if you see the stagnation stage, so here um, the sale is at its peak, the highest sale. So this is the maturity time, right? So and in very few cases, if the company has launched, industry has really worked very hard on itself and they have launched a new technology, then maybe stagnation also they can grow again. But if they are not working hard on them and there is no technology development, or nothing new is coming up with the industry, then after stagnation there would be always decline. So once the company has reached the stagnation stage, one should sell the shares of that particular industry. So this is the life cycle of industry. Like first stage is pioneering, expansion, stagnation, and decline. So in pioneering and expansion, one can buy, one can invest, and once the company has reached stagnation, one should sell it off. Stagnation and decline, one should uh, sell it off at the best price possible, right? So now let's discuss about industry life cycle one by one. That what are the features of different stages of industry life cycle, and what should be our strategy. Either we should buy it, we should hold it, we should sell it. See, in investment there are three things: you buy, you sell, or you hold. So as per the industry life cycle, you decide whether you should buy it, you should hold it, or you should sell it. Hmm? So here, let us discuss each stage of the industry life cycle one by one. So the first stage is pioneering stage. The first stage in industry life cycle of a new industry where the technology as well as the products are relatively new and have not reached the state of perfection. So pioneering stage is a stage where the product is very very new. Okay, so, at this stage, obviously, when a new technology comes in the market, they don't know whether the people will accept the technology or not. Or I'm particularly talking about technology, there can be anything, whatever the industry is, right? So, this is the stage where risk is very high. Right, and the situation is very vulnerable. Maybe people will accept it, or maybe investors, people will not accept it. For example, when touchscreen phones came in India, right? It was not sure that the people will accept it because of the price range, because of the technology used. So there were n number of factors. So at that point of time, telecom industry, when it was really growing very rapidly it was growing. But this was very start of the telecom industry, and investor may not be very sure that in a country like India, uh, I, nobody knew that people will accept this new technology or not. Like initially in mobile phones also there was charges for incoming calls as well. Then incoming charges were vanished, and there were other things like only outgoing had a charge. Earlier to this there was pager system. So industry was growing but still it was taking its time. So that was pioneering stage. So in pioneering stage, very few companies, really very few investors are willing to invest when the company is in industry is in pioneering stage. The reason being the risk is very high, they don't know whether it will go up or down. And in these early years and early days, the company, the industry may have suffered a lot of losses also, because acceptance takes time. People will not accept it immediately because of n number of issues, social, cultural. So we talk that stock market works upon prices and all, but stock market majorly works upon sentiments. Investor sentiments is one of the major factor on which stock market works, right? So it is at this point, it is very difficult for an investor to understand that whether the industry will go up or down, or maybe how much time it will take. Maybe in pioneering stage it may take 5 to 10 years. So the investor also must have that kind of you know patience also, that they can hold the shares for 5 to 10 years to actually earn profits, right? So it is very important that the investor should be able to take high risk, as well as they should be willing to hold it for a period of time. So the major features of pioneering stages: high risk, and second feature is they must have patience. They have to hold the shares for quite a long duration. And if any investors is willing to take that much of risk, or spend that much of time, then of course when the industry will reach at its peak, they are going to earn. But yes, in pioneering stage, the risk is very high. Okay. So moving forward, um, it is the time to establish company and new products. There may be losses, and they would need a lot of injections of capital, because they are at very initial stage. And at initial stage, for promotions, for advertisements, they may need a lot of capital. And it may need capital quite frequently. So it may also create a kind of dissatisfaction among the shareholders, that again and again companies asking for funds, are they doing good, or maybe there is some scam. So there are so many things going on at pioneering stage. But obviously the one who will hold it, who will understand the situation, the investor who is that far sighted, who knows the working of that particular industry. And how do we know the working of that particular industry? For example, then when telecom came in India, there may be telecom industry which was well established in other countries, like developed industries. So they can really compare the performance of telecom, that how they grew in those developed countries. Maybe in those developed countries also it took around 5 to 10 years. So if you are investing in any industry which is at pioneering stage, you can compare its performance, its flow of work with any developed country, like in other country how much time they took. And accordingly they can create their plan of action, that whether they should hold it, and are they going as per plan or not, or the performance is as per the benchmark or not. So there are a number of factors. So, in nutshell, we can say that if somebody is investing in pioneering stage, they have to bear a lot of risk. There has to be a lot of patience, and they have to be quite far-sighted and compare the performance of your industry with some other stock exchange in some other country. So you will get a rough idea. So the people who are very much risk takers can invest in industries which are at pioneering stage. So once the pioneering stage will end, the second stage which will come is expansion stage. So after 5 to 10 years of really, really hard work, now the industry is growing. It has reached to expansion stage. People are well aware of the products, and now they are. For example, I'm continuing with the telecom industries examples only. So now the people are well aware about the product. They know that mobile phones are there. They have a lot of facilities. So in the second stage, expansion stage, they try to get so many inventions. Like from normal phones, they invented touchscreen. There was SMS service. There was then video call phones. Now with every passing day, there are so many features in phones that mobile phone has become the part and parcel of life. Like at one point of time it was a luxury, but today it is necessity. So in expansion stage there are so many uh, so many inventions are there that sales are also growing up. So the one of the best feature of expansion stage is a lot of inventions, a lot of growth in terms of technology, plus a lot of growth in the sales also. So here the risk is comparatively low in comparison to pioneering stage, because now the product is quite popular in the market and people are willing to buy it, plus they also want to pay very good price, like because now it has become such a part of the life that people are ready to invest anything in phones. They just want good features, like everything is on phones nowadays. So in expansion stage risk is low, and people are willing to buy it at any cost. And at this stage usually, those people who are not very much risk takers, and they want to take risk but very moderate amount of risk. They are willing to take risk, not that they are not willing to take risk. Whenever you invest in stock there are risks, so it is never the case that this is completely a risk free investment. Even if we put our money in bank, that there is also, we call it a risk free return, but that is also a kind of risk, because when you will invest in market you may get better returns. So that is risk free. For risk in for in if you have an FD, for example, today I have two FDs. The FD which I got 5 years back giving a good return, but now if I invest in FD the return has reduced. So there is also risk. So risk is also always there. So similarly at expansion stage also there would be risk, but the risk is quite calculated risk or moderate risk, we can say that. So those who are not willing to take too much of risk, or those who are not willing to wait too long, then they can invest in an industry which is at expansion stage, right? So but point is, the earnings which are at expansion stage would be less than those who have invested in pioneering stage. Obviously those who invested in pioneering stage, they must have bought the share, for example, at rupees 10, right? And today those who are investing, they are buying share at rupees 100. Maybe in future price will go to 150, right? Maybe, yeah, but those who have invested in pioneering stage, they are earning a profit of 140 rupees, and those who are investing today are earning a profit of 50 rupees. So obviously profit would be there, but the margin would be much higher in case of pioneering stage, right? But there are always pros and cons of investments. Obviously those who have invested in pioneering stage, they would be earning much better, right? So this is the stage where one should invest. And in emerging blue chip companies are those companies which are really growing now, right? So now expansion stage. The third stage is stagnation stage. Now this point becomes, stagnation stage is a very crucial stage, and at times, for investors it becomes very difficult to differentiate that whether the industry is in um, expansion stage or stagnation stage, because there is a very very fine line between expansion and stagnation. And here, investors at time becomes very greedy also, because when you get money after money and you keep on thinking that okay, still I can hold it, I should hold it for some more time, maybe the profit will go up. So here, the rule of greed, human sentiments, it becomes very very active, that you should be so far sighted that you understand that this is the time I should leave my keep my greed apart, and really sell my stock, because this is the time the industry has been in saturation stage, and after this the profits of the company will definitely go down, no matter what the situations are, no matter how much they make innovations, the product is not going to work in the market. So this is that is basically decline state. But in stagnation obviously there is a little bit of hope. For example, before mobile phones there were landlines. Like in landlines initially, they were very huge sets, huge telephone sets, like those ring telephones. They were they dial in, used to dial in. Then there were buttons. Then there was caller ID. So they were innovating those landline system also. But there came a time when mobile phones phones enter in the market. And after that, those landline phones lost their value completely. So initially they were, earning profit by small innovations, like from dial-in, they were button phones, and then they had that caller ID system. They could leave a message on landline, or there were other features also they were incorporating. So initially it was working. Like they wanted to sustain a bit longer in stagnation stage. They knew that it is going to decline gradually, but they wanted to run in market for a bit longer, right? So in stagnation stage, a little bit of technology improvement can really help you to sustain in market for some time. But yeah, it depends like how fast the habits of the people are changing, how fast their income rate is growing. So there are other factors also. So two important reasons for this transition are change in the social habits and development of improved technology. So two very important things which decide that how long everything is stagnated, like how long the company can really sustain in market. First is social habits, like how people are reacting to new things. Are they really adaptive? Are they fast adopters of the things, or they take time? First thing is this, and the second thing is how fast technology is changing. These two things really decide the future of the company, like how long. Of course decline would be there, but how long they can sustain. Maybe they can sustain for another 2 3 years, maybe they will die in another 6 months. So it depends on social habits of the people and the technology level of the market. So it is good that the investor should sell the stock at stagnation stage, because this is the maturity time. And maybe like if you can see in this graph here, at stagnation, this is the peak. Here if you sell your stock, you will earn maximum profit. But after this, if you will keep on holding, the profit may not be very good, it will keep on declining. So you have to find the right spot where you should sell your stock to earn maximum profit. You have to earn maximum profit. This should be your target. So in stagnation stage, it is good that you should sell your stocks and find the right point where you can sell the stock so that you will earn best profits. So here smart investors will quit. Smart investors will sell the security. So then the third last stage is declining stage. Right. In declining stage, eventually the industry declines. For example, after some time, after doing so many moderations in the landline phones, like um, inventing so much in landline phones, still it has to decline. Right. So eventually the industry declines, and this occurs when its products are no longer popular. The risk at the time in investing in these companies is high, because nobody will invest in such companies which are completely outdated in the market, and their returns are very low or even negative. So it is not wise to invest when the industry is at its declining stage. So investors should identify the companies at decline stage, and this is the time of bankruptcy or winding up, right? So at this stage, nobody should ever invest in such industries. So best time to invest is pioneering and expansion stage, and obviously the investors who are more risk averse, they will invest at pioneering stage, and those who are moderate risk takers, they will invest at expansion stage. And at stagnation, you can sell it, and at decline, obviously nobody should invest it. So when you are investing in the market, you should pick an industry which is at pioneering or expansion stage, and very wisely you have to understand that at which stage the industry is. Maybe it is at pioneering or expansion, you have to understand. And you have to understand when it has reached its stagnation stage. It is your personal understanding of the market, your personal judgments, your understanding matters a lot at in understanding the industry life cycle. So other than this, to understand the industry, you can do SWOT analysis also. In SWOT, you will identify the strengths of the company, vulnerabilities, opportunities available, and threats. So how do you do SWOT analysis? There can be different factors which you can study, like are the sales of the industry growing, are growing or they stagnant, like the sales is growing or stagnant. Then what are the profit margins of the company, right? What is their return on investment? Then how does the success or failure of the industry depend upon a single factor? Because if there is only one factor on the base on which the sales of the company depends, so and there would be, drastic change. So, basically elasticity of sale. Yeah, demand elasticity, we call it demand elasticity. So you understand the demand elasticity of the company, that how vulnerable the sales of the company are. And is the industry dominated by one or two major companies? Matlab, basically here you see that whether the company is what do you call it, there is monopoly, there is perfect competition. You see that type of competition exist in industry. Then what is the impact of taxation? There are some companies which lies under special economic zones. So the companies which lie under special economic zones, or there are tax havens also. So you should really try to find those industries which are getting special benefits from government. And if you find those companies, their profit margins are also very good. So one should really see what is the taxation, what is the impact of taxation on the company, and try to find those companies which lies under special economic zones or maybe tax havens. You can find that. Then is the industry affected very strongly by business cycles? Business cycles are basically in a year how much business cycle, how long the business cycle is. For example, we call it like business cycle in very simple terms. We can say that how much time they take to convert raw material into sales. So how long that period is, and are they getting too affected, like how soon they get their money back. So it really matters if they get their money back very frequently, like there are 4 business cycles in a year. It means after 3 months they get their raw material converted into cash. So it is a good condition, we can say that. So you have to identify that where the company lies, what is the business cycle. Okay. Then are there any rigorous statutory controls? Like, there are specific industries where the rules are very strict. For example, labor laws are very strict, child laws, and the companies which are related to environmental issues. So, in those cases, the companies are very vulnerable by government policy. So, it may affect them. Yeah. Then there are is the industry highly competitive? If they're highly competitive, though, so what is their advertisement policy, sales, distribution? There are other things also. Is there sufficient export potential? Because exporting is very very important, because when they export, the money they get in dollars or any other currency. So of course, for example, right now, if we are dealing with US, now there is a government change. Yeah. So obviously the trade would be affected, because the new government will come up with new policies. So it will definitely affect them, right? So you have to see whether it is an exporter, whether importer. So all these things matter a lot. Next is the industry highly technology oriented? So if there is too much use of technology, and technology changes very soon, very soon. So obviously if there is a lot of technology changes, then you have to understand that you will hold the stock for a very short duration and sell it off in the market, so that you will earn profit, back profit. Otherwise it will become very difficult for you to earn profit, right? So in technology oriented companies, the holding period is very less, and you have to be very wise that how long you should hold. Maybe there can be industries where you have to hold the stock for a longer duration of time. So it is up to your need and requirement. Then the last point is, how does the stock market estimate the industry? How are the leading scripts in the industry evaluated by the stock market? Like this point says that what is the view? Like you can see the past data. Okay, like how soon, what is the highest or lowest price of the day, in stock market. So this thing basically comes under technical analysis, which we'll discuss later on. So this is all about industry analysis.